Good evening, one and all. Let's start with today's session. Let me share my screen. Okay, so today it's the ninth live session for the course Basic Environmental Engineering Pollution and Abatement. So so far we have discussed on various treatment technologies which are used for reducing the pollution for example, air pollution and water pollution that includes due to some household activities, due to some normal human activities, agricultural activities, as well as industrial activities. Now, third type of pollution that we might encounter is due to the generation of solid sludge uh, that might come from or that might be generated from wastewater treatment plants, right? So let's move towards another treatment or pollution control strategy that is for the sludge management. So this from this class we will be discussing on the sludge management and further we will discuss on how various industries they like what is the process that is going on in a particular industry and what is the amount of wastewater generated, what is its quality, as well as uh, what treatment, because depending on the type of industry, the pollution will differ, um, and that is why the wastewater or any pollution control strategy will differ. So we will be looking into some specific examples from this week. So let's start with today's session. Now, what is sludge? Sludge is nothing but a semi-solid slurry which is produced from industrial processes, water treatment, on-site sanitation systems, etc. Okay, so for example, from industrial process, uh, the sludge will be generated from activated sludge process, the sedimentation tanks that are used, right? So these are a few examples. So industrial process, uh, so this is specific to water treatment. Now, industrial processes might involve generation of a byproduct, right? For example, we will look in this class only. Let's say sugar industry, right? So sugar industry is using uh, it is using sugar cane to produce sugar crystals, right? So for that, sugar cane is used, and firstly from sugar cane, uh, you know, this juice or the glucose or sucrose, they are extracted, okay, in the form of juice, and whatever the solid content is remaining, that is also it will come into the example of sludge. Okay, so any semi-solid slurry which might have different percentage of water quantities in it, along with the presence of suspended and dissolved solids, they are nothing but known as sludge. Now, our primary aim is to separate water and the solids from the sludge so that we can have water for reuse, and we can, depending on the quality of sludge or the solid present in that sludge, we can either recycle that sludge for some sustainable purpose that we will look into further, or we can um, dispose it in the landfill sites or so on. So, yeah. So let's see what are the types of sludge that are usually generated. So this types of sludge, they are usually generated from, yeah, this is pertaining to specifically to water treatment plant, right? Yeah, so this is for treatment plant. Yeah, so first is the primary sludge. Now, in the earlier class, I had mentioned that there are two types of sedimentation processes. One is the sedimentation process, which is followed by coagulation flocculation. Okay, so coagulation flocculation, which is a primary treatment, and followed by that, there is a sedimentation process which is given, right? And another is the secondary activated sludge process, followed by which there will be a clarifier or sedimentation tank. Okay, so this sedimentation is primary, and here it is known as secondary. So the sludge corresponding to both the steps, this is nothing but primary sludge, whatever the solid sludge that is coming out of this sedimentation tank, that is nothing but primary sludge. This is secondary sludge, right? So depending on this process step, it can be divided into primary sludge, secondary sludge. Now, another, if it is generated from primary processes like chemical precipitation, right? So, chemical precipitation is nothing but a method where you have dissolved solids and you externally add some chemical, right? So, this chemical is such that it can be some NaCl, NaOH, PaOH twice. So basically, you might be changing the pH, or you might be doing some salt cation or like salt exchange. So in this, what happens is uh, whatever the dissolved solids are there, when you add the chemical, so dissolved solids plus chemical, it will give you a precipitate. O- Okay, so reaction are such that the precipitate of dissolved solid is formed, right? Now, why do we need to remove these dissolved solids? Because it might have some toxicity. Say, for example, dissolved solid is nothing but if it is because of the presence of some heavy metals, including lead or including chromium, etc. So now, if we want to remove these, so in that case, we can, you know, we can add some chemicals such that it gets converted into its non-soluble form, and hence it produces uh, so dissolved solid plus chemical. It will give you some precipitates of dissolved solid. Okay. Now this is also a sludge. Is it clear so far? So this has to be removed. Uh,
Yes, ma'am, it's clear. I have a question.
yes.
Will dissolved solid, when you said that it will, you can precipitate and, I mean, you can take out that sludge. So, or, I mean, well, then what happened to that sludge? I mean, that is stored, or is that a problem for disposal?
Yeah. So see. If you are degrading any pollutant which is present, then you can say that the toxicity has been removed from that particular uh, wastewater or any stream in which that pollutant is present. But in case of heavy metals, which are usually not, you know, they are having mainly, for example, if you take example of lead, so it has only one oxidation state, right? So, and you can just convert this into some another form such that you can store it safely. Okay, water can go easily, penetrate easily across the soil, so it has chances to further contaminate whatever it passes through. For example, it passes or it goes or percolates through the soil. If such water is taken up by soil, then it spreads toxicity. But if it is in solid form, then what we are doing, we are precipitating. So it is a solid which will be dried and it will be sent to landfill sites. So now this solid, they are stored in, landfill sites. They are completely covered area which are, isolated. So the chances of further pollution, it is restricted by converting them into solids. So I hope this answers your question. So we are,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, so we are not basically um reducing the toxicity by converting it in another form, but we are just transferring from one phase to another so that its impact can be lowered if it enters into the environment. So, yeah, I guess this is it. This is how it is followed in for any pollutant if it is not degradable. Now, in the case of organics, if they are present, so we try the organics to be degraded first. Now, but if there are persistent organics which are non-biodegradable, so for those organics, we might need some specific oxidation process that we have learned. For example, advanced oxidation process to convert them to some CO2 or methane. Now you can further say that CO2 is also a pollutant which adds up to greenhouse gases. So, these all the methods, they are like it creates a circular impact. So it cannot escape in any, like if it is removed from one form, it might end up into another form. So that's how it is followed everywhere. So that is the drawback, actually, you can say. Yeah. So now let's move forward to the secondary sludge. So, as I mentioned, that secondary sludge is nothing but whatever the sludge that is formed or active biomass waste after the biological treatment, it is the secondary sludge. Now, next is mixed. Now, in case if we are mixing both the sludges for from primary and secondary processes, it is nothing but sludge mixture. So that is mixed sludge. And tertiary sludge is nothing but any tertiary treatment which generates sludge. So that is nothing but tertiary sludge. So, for example, if you are using adsorption process, so the water content in this sludge will be lesser, but the adsorbent that you will have, it will be a wet adsorbent that you need to take care of. So, these are the examples of sludge. Now, next is the property of sludge that is very important. For example, the specific gravity. Now, specific gravity is nothing but a measure of the density of any solid or any material with reference to the density of water, right? So, what does density mean? Density is nothing but mass per unit volume. So it for a particular density, you can say if 2,000 kg per meter cube is the density, you can say 1 meter cube of volume has the capacity to store 2,000 kgs of that particular material, right? So in the case of sludge, what we can say, the end. um the final destination or the final point of sludge will be its disposal. Okay, So we need that the sludge should have, you know, it should occupy lower volumes so that lesser land area is required for its disposal. So in that manner, the specific gravity of sludge plays an important role. Now, there could be some different types of sludge, and there could be some different type of composition also in sludge. For example, there could be organics, there could be pathogens. Now, there could be heavy metals. Okay, so there could be n number of pollutants which are there are chances that they are present in sludge. Okay, so now these are nothing but pollutants. So if sludge is not treated or managed properly, or it does not end up at a proper place, then what happens is there are chances that it further creates pollution, and hence we need to have proper sludge management because of the presence of toxic pollutants in that sludge. Okay, so there are different ways of um, sludge management where depend for example in industries, uh, incineration thermal methods, they are very common for the sludge management, while for non-industrial method it could be biological treatment, recalmation, or environmental utilization. For example, if the sludge is having organics, so biodegradable organics specifically, so in that case, you can convert it into fertilizer or compost. Okay, so also we will look into. So we can use it for composting, right? So these are ways of reducing the toxicity or hazards that might happen because of the sludge contaminants, and we are trying to minimize as many contaminants as possible. And then for that, what steps we are following. So first is sludge has high quantity of water. Okay, so sludge has high amounts of water present. So it is, the definition itself says that it is a semi-solid slurry. So, semi-solid slurry means it has high quantities of water. Now, so to have or to separate water and the solids which are present, so for that we need to concentrate the sludge, and for that we can either have gravity thickening or we can have flotation. So gravity thickening, the name itself suggests that the water and the sludge, or the solid components which are present in the sludge, they have a very wide or very large gap in their densities, right? So based on the density difference, they can separate into, one is water rich stream at the top, and another is the solid sludge at the bottom. Okay. Another is flotation. Now, next is, this sludge might have high amounts of organics. Okay. So, in that case, what you can do, you can use some microbial digestion process similar to what we have used for dissolved organics in the case of wastewater treatment. So, here you can have either anaerobic digestion, aerobic digestion, or sludge lagoons, right? So, these processes can be used. Uh, Now, as we have seen, aerobic will be in the presence of O2, while this will be in the absence of O2, right? Now, next is the conditioning of sludge. So here, similar to coagulation and flocculation, we add some chemical so that whatever very small particles or sludge material which are not able to settle, so by addition of that chemical, there are flocculation which happens and it results into easier settling. Now, next is uh, dewatering. So there are so dewatering. What it means here is you are removing the water which is, you know, it is stored, like it is not the bulk water. It might be near the inside the pores also of the sludge or any porous uh, structure that it will have. So inside the pores, whatever might be the water content, so that also we will be removing. Uh, yeah. So next is so for that what we do. So to remove that water, uh, there are different ways in which we can remove that water. So first method is uh, yeah. So okay. So from this we need to look in. Yeah. So dewatering, either we can do it by filtration. For example, rotary drum filters. Then we can have plate and frame filters. Then we can have horizontal belt filters. This is the example of horizontal belt filter. Or we can have centrifuge. Or we can use drying beds. So for that, what it does, it produces steam. Okay, so we are providing heat to the bed of sludge, which results into the evaporation of water. So let's look into the dewatering equipments one by one. So first is the rotary drum vacuum filtration. So as the name suggests, rotary drum has a drum which rotates. Now, here it operates under vacuum. So this is So there will be a portion of drum which will always be dipped into the slurry or the sludge, okay, and it will keep on rotating, okay. So there will be a pressure gradient, okay. So inside the drum, we are maintaining vacuum, okay. So this inside region, because of the lower pressure maintained, the water is sucked, and that pure water, it is later collected and the solid, since there is a filter on the outside layer of this drum, the solid will not be able to travel, but just the water will be able to travel. So that solid will be able to deposit on the surface, so that will form a cake layer. So this layer is known as filter cake layer. Now if this cake layers is getting more and more thicker as the time progresses. So what happens is this will provide resistance for the water to flow inside. Okay. So what we do, we scrap this cake after this particular rotation. So there is a knife which is uh, provided which scraps the cake after one complete cycle. Okay, so after this point, you know that the cake layer has been taken off or it has been taken up by the knife, and again now the filter is exposed to the uh, slurry. So this is the cycle that is followed uh, for the filtration using rotary drum vacuum filter. Now, next could be horizontal belt filter. So this is a very simple and as the name suggests, so this is the horizontal belt which will have the filter cloth. So let me zoom into this picture. Yeah. So here also, what you do, you this is the filter cloth. Okay, so only water will be able to pass. Now, this is the feed side. So feed will travel across the filter cloth, and the dimensions of this filter cloth and the horizontal built this filter, it depends on the amount of water that we need or the amount of sludge that we need to uh, concentrate, okay, and the amount of water content in the sludge, okay. So this surface area depends on those parameters. Now the water, it travels across horizontally across this filter, and again there will be sections, okay. So uh, you know the water will be able to pass, and again here we are providing vacuum so that we can have more, because pressure difference creates the water to suck into the pipelines, and that you can collect, like that water you can collect, and the cake you can, or cake or solid you can separate. Next is the platen frame filter. So the name, depending on the name, there are filters which are supported by these type of plates. Okay, so here you see that this is the direction of flow for the wastewater, not wastewater, the sludge. Okay, and uh, once it travels in this direction, uh, as the sludge travels this side, uh, you know, um, the solid cake, it will not be able to travel, and water will be able to pass through this. So whatever the water it is there, it will be separate filtered by this filter cloth, and this plate will have deposited cake on it, which needs to be separated off. Yeah, so that this is about plate and frame filter press. Yeah. So now let's move forward. Next are the drying beds. Now, drying beds are nothing but, as you see, the name suggests, these are nothing but large areas of land on which the sludge is uh, spread on it. Now, there are two things, uh, evaporation and gravity-based separation occurs. So, water, sludge, it travels, okay, so water, it travels upward because of lower density, while solid has higher density, so solid will stay downward. And the water which is on the upper side of, which is exposed directly to the atmosphere, it will tend to evaporate. Okay, so, it will dry. Okay, so this is just a very common example for which you might encounter at your homes also, where you might have any wet or uh, semi-solid material. If you keep it for some time open in atmosphere, water will evaporate from the surface. Now next is the oxidation. Now oxidation is nothing but conversion of the organics which are present into some carbon dioxide or methane. Uh, Sorry, this is oxidation. So it is conversion into carbon dioxide. Okay, so for that there are two main process. One is incineration and another is wet air oxidation. So wet air oxidation is a kind of self-sustained process. Okay, so for example, this organics uh, if they are combusted, so combustion produces carbon dioxide, but this process is exothermic in nature. Now, what does exothermic reaction mean? Exothermic reaction means it generates heat or it generates energy as the reaction progresses. Now, because of the exothermic nature of this process, what happens is after providing some initial amount of energy, some specific amount of heat will be generated after a particular time, after certain time of operation of this process, which will result into, you know, more and more amount of energy available for the combustion. Okay, so it is a kind of self-sustained. So as the reaction progresses, the reaction itself gives the energy which is required to maintain the temperature so that reaction would occur. So here the at high pressure and high temperature, the oxidation is carried out. Now next process is incineration. Yeah. So incineration is nothing but it provides very high temperatures, right? So at such high temperature, these organics can be converted into their final forms of carbon dioxide, right? So that is nothing but incineration. Maybe around 1000 degrees centigrade also can be existing temperature in the incinerator. Now, now once the sludge has been dewatered, it has undergone oxidation to remove all the organics also, and it is in its dry form. What we need to do, whatever remaining it is there, we need to dump it or dispose it. So disposal or dumping of sludge can be made in various ways. So one of the most common now, open dumping is not an advisable form because atmosphere will be in constant contact with it. So it is not an good advice. While landfill sites they are covered, so once a particular area it is covered with the sludge or the solid, so that area will be covered with some non-permeable polymeric sheets or so on. So in that case, landfill sites are the best option to dispose the sludge. And last is the composting. So in the case where you have, there are nutrients which are there in the sludge. So in that case, instead of dumping the sludge, what you can do, you can have either conventional composting or vermicompost, where you provide some extra microorganisms and earthworms that eat up that nutrients, and whatever the excreta it is formed, it is a kind of fertilizer that can be used uh, for agricultural applications. So, this kind of composting and so that is a sustainable approach. But the condition for this composting is there is that it should not have any toxic contaminants which are present in it, right? So I hope it is clear so far. Is there any doubt to you? Okay, so now let's move forward. Now let's look into the digestion of the uh, sludge, especially anaerobic digestion, where microorganisms they are found to break down the biodegradable organics which are present in the sludge in the absence of oxygen. Now, these could be the sludge that might be used for this purpose could be energy crops, animal waste, industrial waste, municipal solid waste, sludge from wastewater treatment plant. So any sludge could be used for anaerobic digestion. Now the primary products from this could be biogas, hydrogen, biofertilizer, compost, and reusable water. Okay. Uh, and when you add the microorganisms to the sludge, so in that case, there are different steps which are uh, followed. Uh, First is hydrolysis, which converts the complex molecules into simpler molecules. Okay, so that is the first. For example, there are polymers which are present. So that polymers which are having longer chains, now that longer chain polymers can be broken into some monomers, dimers, or so on. So into simpler molecules, they can be converted. Now next is acidogenesis. So acidogenesis is nothing but it converts the simpler molecules which are formed after the hydrolysis into the fatty acids. Okay, so all these are nothing but various steps or various, uh, simpler products after each step. And the last step of or the last product will be the simplest molecule which could be formed from that organic material. So now these fatty acids can be converted to acetic acid or the acetates. So now you see after each step the the molecular weight or the complexity of that compound or complex molecules, they are further converted into simpler and simpler molecules each at each step. And last is methanogenesis, where acetic acid can be converted to methane and carbon dioxide. Now, the overall kinetics or the factors that affect the process could be the solid content, the carbon to nitrogen ratio, the temperature, because the microorganisms have specific activity at a particular temperature. So, the temperature, the pH, the time which is provided for the digestion, and the microbes that are used. Okay. And the overall time which is required, it is based on the kinetics of the process. So kinetics is nothing but it is like the overall rate of the process would be determined by the slowest step. Okay. So usually the slowest step in this process would be methanogenesis, and hence that is the rate controlling step. Okay. So clear so far? I will just take a minute and come back. Please give me a minute. Okay, so let's start again. Next is we will be seeing specific cases or the specific industries uh, and how they have what type of treatment technologies do they have, or is there any specific need for that particular industry? Because industries, depending on the type of industries, the pollution, the amount of pollutants, the amount of wastewater, the amount of air pollution, the amount of noise pollution, the amount of sludge generation, everything will be different. So we need to have, depending on the type of industry, we need to have some specific or some special cases that might need to be taken or looked into. So, first, let's start with general measures which are set for any industrial pollution control measures. So, each industry should follow all the type of control measures, which include for emission control, this is pertaining to air pollution, the effluent control, and the solid management. Now, for that, you need to have further, good housekeeping, regular inspection on the emissions. So you need to have regular inspection of its any leakages or the parameters of the emissions that are there from the stack and so on. Then the proper documentation of the working standards. So you need to have proper documentation at regular interval. What are the parameters that are obtained for all the processes uh, regularly, right? So, for example, if you are monitoring, if you are treating the water and if you are removing the organics, so you need to have a proper monitoring of BOD and COD at some specific intervals of time, and you need to have a proper documented data for that. Okay, so that you will be able to find out if there are any flaws in the process. So after what point the problem has started, what could be the probable reason? So these type of documentations will help in diagnosing the problem that might happen. Okay, so then you need to have proper painting of the reactors. The material of construction of any equipment or the reactors that are used. It should not be easy, like it should be sustainable and it should sustain the harsh environment so that it does not corrode and there are minimum leakages. Further, if you have visited in any industry, there are n number of or thousands of pipelines that are there in the industry. Even in the small scale industry, there will be thousands of pipeline connections. So now, in that case, it is very difficult to find out which pipeline, for example, if there is any leak after some point. So you need to know what pipeline it is, whether the chemical that is transferred through that pipeline, whether it is toxic or what sort of chemical it is. So in that case, there is a color coding which is made so that you will know what chemical is passing through that pipeline. Next is segregation of waste. Okay, so segregation of waste is important because you wish not to mix two contaminants because it will increase the volume. Also, it will increase the volume, which, for example, if 20 liters of water has uh, lead contamination, which is coming out from one reactor, and another is having organic contamination, which is 30 liters of water coming out of another reactor. Now, if you mix these two waste streams, which is 20 and 30 liters, now the waste or the pollutant type, they are different and they need some different treatment technologies. So, in case if you are mixing both, so the concentration will change, but the amount of water now you need to treat will be For two processes, 50 liters each. Otherwise, the volume that would be treated earlier would be 20 and 30 liters. So, segregation will help in minimizing the amount of water treated or in any case, um, right? Then the if there are any changes in the flow sheet or the process made, so the flow sheet also should be updated. So similar measures you need to follow so that if there is any problem occurring, so it is easier to diagnose or there are minimum problems that will exist. So from now, let's start with the specific cases of industries where you need to look into where there is slight discussion on what could be the sources of what wastewater and what are the treatment technologies which are followed, so and so on. So let's start with first the sugar industry. So sugar industry is, as the name suggests, it is mainly for producing sugar. Now for that we are using sugar cane, and the sugar cane which is having a big size. So firstly it is cut and its outer skin is removed and it is chopped and it passes through milling train. So this is the milling train. Now it is passed through the milling train from which the juice of the sugar cane is extracted. So you know that juice will have the sweetness in the or the sweetness which is because of the sucrose which is present, and our aim is to basically extract that sucrose from sugarcane, right? So now once you have extracted, so as like everyone drinks sugarcane juice, so that sugarcane has a crushed or a solid which is some carbonaceous material. So that is the remaining material which is known as bagasse. And since it is an organic material, it can act as which is having high calorific value. So it can act as providing energy as fuel in the boiler, and the sweet juice or the juice which is formed, it passes through some heaters. Now because this has very high amounts of water in it, okay, so first the lime is added so that any type of suspended solids they are present, they are removed, and it is sent to the clarifier to separate any of the solid material which is settled. Uh, Next is number of evaporators, which is to concentrate the uh, juice. So we will have a concentrated sweet juice, which will have sucrose or sugar present in it. So these are nothing but multiple effect evaporators. Next, it passes through vacuum fans and the centrifuge and the crystallizer, where different stages of uh, you know uh, the crystallization happens, where you are producing sugar crystals or some sugar um, solid form, and then you can have a particular shape by grinding or whatever you want. So centrifuge and the dryers they are used, and later lastly the sugar is stored. Now this is the process for sugar industry where the sugar is produced. So the wastewater which is coming out mainly from the cooling tower, because there are number of multiple effect evaporators used where and heat exchangers used, where uh, water is you know uh, used for cooling purpose. So there will be some heat gradient. Then there will be processed wastewater. So for example, the sludge which is generated, so water will be coming from that. And you will have evaporators from that water will be collected. The water which is separated from the centrifuge and the crystallizer which will be mother liquor you that is known as mother liquor. So that is also processed wastewater. Now this wastewater which will be high in BOD, okay. And next is the tube cleaning. So water is again used for cleaning the equipments and the reactors in the industry. So water is also formed by cleaning the evaporator tube, okay. So all these are the sources, and again the sludge is formed, which is from the this clarifier. So this wastewater, which is mainly high in BOD, so specific activated sludge process is one of the most important process which might be used. And further, the sludge which is generated, it either sludge drying bed or filter press is used for uh, the generate like producing final dried sludge. So now let's move to the assignment part. So first question is specific gravity of sludge solid can be estimated by dash, where Fs is the fixed solid amount, Vs is volatile solid, and Ts is the total solid. So can you tell me which is the correct answer? Yes, anyone? Okay, so specific gravity has a formula which is nothing but density of material to uh, density of reference material. So here you are using total solid or the total sludge which has total solid Ts. Vs is the volatile solid and Fs is the fixed solid. So for the case of fixed solid, usually it has the specific gravity of 2.5. So since the fraction of fixed solid out of total solid is Fs by Ts, so the contribution because of this fixed solid will be Fs by Ts, and the specific gravity for this Fs will be nothing but 2.5. And similar to Vs, it is Vs by Ts by 1. So for volatile, it is all considered as 1. So the specific gravity is 1 by this entire term. Now next question is favorable condition uh, for the treatment of sludge using wet air oxidation process is uh, dash. Sorry, I guess for wet air oxidation, the temperature maintained, I guess, is around 150 degrees Celsius. So the answer should be B in this case. And this is the corresponding pressure for that process. Next is factors that are affecting composting process are dash. Select the most suitable option. Yes, can anyone tell me this answer? Okay, so let's look into the
Ma'am,
options.
last one will be the answer, all of the above.
Yeah, yeah, very correct. So
Yes, thank you.
can you tell the importance of each of these parameters?
No, ma'am, I just can't explain it.
Okay, so let me just give you the brief of it. Okay, so composting is a process where you are trying to, you know, uh, generate uh, fertilizer or manure which can be used in agriculture from the sludge. So where oxygen is the basic. Okay, so the microbes that you will be providing, so that will be acting in the aerobic condition. So oxygen and aeration as well as the mixing that you provide, that decides the composting process and the final uh, value of that compost. Then the particle size and the carbon to nitrogen ratio. So particle size is important because more the particle size, it will be difficult to uh, degrade, right? So particle size, and further the temperature and time, because bacteria and microorganisms, they are have their highest activity at a particular temperature, and so the temperature and also the time which is provided, because if you do not provide sufficient time, um, uh, the composting that you are expecting, it might not get completed. Okay, so all of the above is the correct answer. Next question is, which of the following statement is not true about anaerobic digestion? So first option is a series of biological process. Microorganisms break down biodegradable material. Third is requires oxygen. And last option is none of the above. Can you tell me?
Ma'am, second one,
Mm,
microorganisms break down biodegradable material.
no. Can you look further? Like once again, check the question and uh, see whether it is the correct answer. I guess that is not the correct answer. Okay, I will tell. Here, so you know that anaerobic digestion is nothing but a biological process because it involves the use of microbes to degrade the organics, right? So the, sorry, yes, I don't know what is happening. Just a second. Yeah, so the process is degradation by microorganisms of organics. So what is uh, degraded? It is nothing but organics. So, whenever microbes they are able to degrade the organics, so these organics will be nothing but biodegradable in nature, right? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's look into the options now. So, and further, it is given that it is an anaerobic process. So, anaerobic process is nothing but it occurs in the absence of oxygen, right? Not the presence of oxygen. So the key term here is anaerobic process, right? So obviously it is a biological process because microbes are involved. Now since microbes they are degrading or breaking down the organics, so it is said that organics will be biodegradable, right? Otherwise these microbes will not be able to degrade. Now anaerobic process is always in the absence of oxygen. So the statement which is it requires oxygen is wrong, right? So correct answer is C. It does not require oxygen, right? Is it clear?
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Okay. So next question is which of the following product is not formed by the anaerobic digestion of biomass and municipal solid waste? Yeah, so the answer to this question is biogas is the primary product which is formed by anaerobic digestion because microbes they convert organics plus microbes in the absence of oxygen, it will give you methane. So methane is nothing but biogas which has some ability to act as fuel. So that is nothing but biogas. Now, whatever the sludge which will be left over, it can be said as it is a kind of biofertilizer because it has some value and there will be a layer of water which is okay. So if you recall the class, this is the kind of anaerobic digester which is used for sludge. So there will be a layer of sludge here. There will be a layer of digestion zone and there will be a layer of water. Okay, so you are separating water also, which is a kind of reusable pure water. So this is also a product, while which is not the product. So bio oil is not formed. Okay, from sludge we cannot derive any oil. So I don't know how to explain this, but if you take the odd one out, so bio oil is not the appropriate product that might be formed from this process. So bio oil is the correct answer. So next question is which of the following factors they affect the biogas yield in anaerobic digestion process? So if you look into the options, temperature, retention time, and microbes type, and last option is the all of the above. Can you tell me?
Ma'am, these three are also require temperature, retention, microbes.
Yeah, so you are right. All of the above is the correct answer because all the factors affect the amount of biogas that is formed, and that is nothing but the efficiency of any anaerobic digestion process. So D is the correct answer. Next is which one of the following is a biological method used for um, the organic compound used for the removal of organic compound from wastewater. So can you tell me what is the key term in the question based on which you will answer this question? So first you need to understand the question where you need to find out the key term. So what is this that key term here?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you are so do you know the answer to this question? Okay, let me give you an hint. So here in this question you are asked um, based on the type of process out of the number of processes that might be used for organic compound to be removed from wastewater, there could be different type of process, physical or physicochemical process or biological process, right? So These are few types of process uh, depending on the you know the process type. For example, the uh, mechanism of removal. Okay, so based on the mechanism of removal, the processes could be divided into physico-chemical and biological. So biological are nothing but which involves microbes, right, or any living biological or microorganism. Okay, so can you tell me, or any sort of living organism for the removal of organics? So any living organism or matter involved for the removal. Yeah, so now can you tell me, out of all these process, which one of the following involves living organism or some living matter for the removal of uh, organic? Okay, so now let's look into the options. First is the adsorption process. Okay, so here adsorption it involves, so this is the adsorbent where due to some uh, let's say this is the pollutant, so there will be some physical van der Waals or hydrogen bond or some chemical covalent bond or some electrostatic force of attraction. So similar bond might prevail and the removal will happen. Okay, so this pollutant will stick here. So here we are not using any living organism or living matter, right? Next is photochemical oxidation. So what is photochemical oxidation? This is the uh, material, and here that material has a valence band and conduction band. Now when light falls on it, so the electrons, it will travel to the conduction band, and here that hole will be formed. So now this electron, it forms free radical, orange free radical, which degrades organics, right? So here again there is a use of chemical or some particles, which means there is no, you know, microbes. So this is also a kind of physico-chemical method. Next is nanofiltration. So nanofiltration is nothing but a membrane process where you are using a membrane which has pores on it. Now, whatever the pollutant which has sizes smaller than the pores, it will pass, and whatever the size bigger than that, that will be excluded. So this will be excluded, this will be passed. So in this case, you can say it is also a physical process because it does not involve any living organism. It just involves size based separation. So yeah, this is also not correct. Now, only last option is left, so this should be correct. Now, let's look into what it is. Phytoremediation. So, phytoremediation, so phyto word is uh, related to plant, and remediation is removal, right? So, phyto is plant. So, remediation is removal. So, plant based removal. So, here you see plant is removing the organics present in water. Okay, plant or tree, any thing. So that is a living organism, which is nothing but biological process. So phytoremediation is the correct answer. So I hope you are able to understand now. Can you tell me, Hannes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So correct answer is phytoremediation. Now
Okay,
let's
okay, ma'am.
move to next question, which is one of the following. Which one of the following is a physico-chemical method for removal of organic? So now this is vice versa. So you need to select the one which does not involve any microorganisms or any living organisms. Okay, so look into the options and can you tell me now which one is a physico-chemical method?
Anaerobic treatment or absorption? This has been doubt to me.
Sorry?
Anaerobic treatment.
No, no, no. That we discussed, no, that anaerobic will have
Oh,
microbes.
right, right, right,
Yeah,
right, right.
so absorption will be the correct answer. This will not
Yes,
be.
absorption. Right, right,
Yeah.
absorption. Yes.
Okay. Next is solid waste generated in residential area in office may be considered as dash. So hazardous. Okay, so from houses usually there is no typically hazardous material, for example, heavy metals or some pharmaceutical products. Um, so there are very less. So hazardous waste are very less or negligible, or medical waste are also less. So from the residential area, mainly you will have municipal solid waste, which are usually composed of biodegradable solids, right? So solid waste from residential area would be municipal solid waste. Okay, so last question, which is the numerical. So let's first understand the question. There is a sedimentation tank. Okay, so this is the sedimentation tank, which is treating 5 MLD. So 5 MLD is nothing but the flow rate of wastewater which it is treating for the separation of sludge. Q is 5 MLD, which is million liters per day. So 1 million is 10 to the power 6. So 1 million is 10 to the power 6, right? So it is treating 5 into 10 to the power 6 liters of wastewater in 1 day, right? So that is its meaning. So it whatever is coming out is 5 million liters. Sorry, this is the inlet, 5 mld, right? Now this wastewater, it contains 290 ppm suspended solids. Okay, so concentration of suspended solids is 290 ppm. Now, what you need to find out after this uh, treatment, the tank is able to remove 60% of uh, suspended solids. So, out of the total suspended solids that is entering this sedimentation tank, 60% is removed. Okay, so 60% is removed. This stream will have 40% suspended solids, and the sludge will have 60% suspended solids. So this is the sludge at the bottom, right? Those, we are talking about this sludge now. So calculate the weight of sludge which is produced per day assuming that the moisture content of sludge is 90%. So, another data that is given to you is now this sludge has 90% water and 10% solids, right? So, this 60% of sludge comprises is equivalent to 10% of solid in the sludge. So you need to find out the total sludge weight which is produced per day. Okay, so for that, first step would be to find out. Let me take a new slide. So the first step is to find out amount of suspended, sorry, um, I will write here and only. Okay, so first find out amount of suspended solids entering the sedimentation tank. Right, so what will be the amount of suspended solids entering? So for that, you are given two data. One is the flow rate, another is the concentration. Okay, so this is nothing but volume per day, and this will be concentration. Okay, so per liter, how much suspended solid is present? Okay, so it is given in ppm, which also means milligrams of suspended solid present in 1 liter of wastewater. Okay, so this is its definition. So if 290 milligrams is present in 1 liter, so now if in per 1 day 5 million liters of water is entering, okay, so how much milligrams of or how much amount of suspended solids will it have? So the amount of suspended solids entering is equal to 290 into 5 into 10 to the power 6 milligrams. So when you multiply and tell me the answer. And if you know the conversion, convert it into kg, okay? Because milligram is a very small unit and it will be a very big quantity, like big term then. So it's better to convert it into kg. And the answer is also asked in kg. So 290 into 5 into 10 to the power 6 is nothing but uh, 1.45 10 to the power 9 mg. Now, if you convert into kgs, so 1 mg is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 kgs. So, which will be nothing but 1.45 10 to the power 3 kg, right? That is nothing but equal to 1450 kg. Now, this much solid is produced, suspended solids entering. Okay, so this much kg enters. Okay, so since we are taking volume of wastewater entering in 1 day, so 1450 kg suspended solid enters in 1 day, right? So This is the amount of suspended solid which enters in one day. Now, next is how much is the amount removed out of this. So, out of 1450 kgs per day, 60% is removed, right, in the form of sludge, with the sludge, right? So, what is the 60% of this? So, amount removed is equals to zero point 0.6 into 1450 kg per day. So can you calculate what is it? 1450 plus zero point 0.6. So the answer should be 870 kg per day is the solids. Okay, so this is the amount of solids removed. But uh, what you are asked to find out is the weight of sludge. Now that sludge has 10% solid and 90% is water. So, okay, so you are not asked the solids removed, but you are asked the sludge removed, right? So this 870 kg is nothing but 10%. Okay, so 10% because this is 10% of the sludge. So, okay, 870 kg per day is nothing but 10% sludge weight. Okay, so if you want to find 100% sludge weight, so what will be the weight? Just multiply by 10, right? If you cross multiply, it will be nothing but 870 into 10, which is 8700 kg per day. That is sludge removed per day, right? Is it clear? Yeah, so can you tell me if you are following this numerical?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are you getting this answer?
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. Are you getting the answer?
Ma'am, audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but could you get the answer? Um, okay, so now I guess you have muted yourself. Uh, I hope the steps are clear then. So that's it from my side today. If you have further more queries, then you can tell me, or else I can end this class today now. We will meet in the next class. Okay, so I assume that it is clear. So let's end this class today. Thank you for joining. I will end this class. Right? Thank you, everyone.